no preamble on this one. It's pretty straightforward. What you see on the screen is exactly what I'm going to talk about here, and I'm going to try to avoid going on a full-scale rant, but I definitely 100% want to, and there are many reasons why I want to. The first thought that I have when I'm looking at this, and this is a graphic that AEW shared that on Dynamite, presumably the Young Bucks are going to present backstage footage from All in London, aka the CM Punk altercation, and discuss it for the first time. They say backstage footage, so presumably this is not going to be a troll. Presumably this is going to be what we expect. We'll see, because, they could do a troll, which, by the way, would be a bad idea, or they could actually do it, which is also a really bad idea. And my first thoughts are, why? Who signed off on that? Well, I know who signed off on it, but I want to know who pitched this idea. Maybe the Young Bucks, maybe somebody else, whoever it was, fire them. Fire them now. Throw them out the window. You know the meme about somebody asks a question, somebody else gives what seems like a reasonable response, and then they throw them out the window? That's the meme, except it's a really stupid idea, and you need to throw them out the window yesterday. And the reason that I say that is because in the multiverse of possibilities, a trillion different permutations of the way this plays out, there's like one or two where this works out well and somehow works for you. And then there's everything else where it's a disaster, of varying degrees of disaster, recoverable disaster, and completely irrecoverable disaster. And it's one of those things where even when I do these videos where I talk about wrestling, I'll have my fun. I'll go off on little mini rants and stuff, but obviously some people really like to take that into almost caricature when they get mad about something. They go on like 20-minute tirades and scream at the top of their lungs. That's not my style. But in this case, I can say without hyperbole, and I genuinely believe this, and I'm saying it sincerely, if this turns out the way most of those permutations turn out, this is the beginning of the end for AEW. Not because they're going to die today or tomorrow, not because Tony Khan's suddenly going to run out of money, but because you are positioning yourself in a way where there is very few ways that you can recover and come back from it. Because you keep doing the same mistakes over and over again. And before I get into the rest of it, I'm just going to say this. A world where AEW goes away and where WWE has basically reign of the North American wrestling landscape is, professional wrestling's dead. I know some people are going to be like, well, what are you talking about? They're doing these great numbers at WrestleMania. I don't give a crap how many seats they sell at WrestleMania. I don't give a crap how many people are like, oh man, I'm so happy The Rock's back. Listen, I'm fine with a lot of the stuff The Rock did. I did the night one review and I think they did a very good job. WWE is vanilla. WWE is vanilla ice cream. It is fine. It is usable at a lot of times. It isn't the only choice in the universe that I want. If the entire world is down to, I only have one choice, I'm not interested in the genre. Because it is not going to work well for me. Because the likelihood is if everything goes the way that we would expect it to, you're going to have big time baby face, smiling like a serial killer, Cody Rhodes come out with a stupid little neck tattoo and go, what do you want to talk about? I go, I want to talk about you getting off my fucking screen. That's what I want to talk about. But, I'm going to put the brakes. Hold on. I'm going to put the brakes here. I didn't want to get into a full-on WWE rant. We've got night 2. That's going to be coming up. I'm going to talk about it there. But my point is, I'm not excited about the prospects of WWE going forward. I don't care about the stupid little Triple H era and the garbage that's already come out of it. I'm happy for them. If you enjoy it and it's great for you, I'm not going to knock that because that's your opinion. That's the way you feel about it. I'm already bored and we barely even started. Triple H's booking has never done much for me. I don't give him that much credit for a lot of stuff. I didn't like him as a character either. So I wasn't a big fan of his work as a wrestler. So the reality is I'm not super interested in what he's going to be bringing to the table because I already see blandness in the future. Or lame-ass retread attempts at the Attitude Era when, guess what? That was 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and times have changed. And if you're going to try to redo the same thing, good luck to you. But the point is, there's nothing wrong with them being there and providing that if there is an alternative. The problem is, unfortunately, our friends here at AEW do not seem to understand that they need to provide that alternative by not trying to worry about what WWE is doing. In reality, it's better not to pay attention to it and do your own thing. This ain't it. This reeks of desperation. Now, the reality is there's a couple ways this could go. I mentioned a moment ago, all the permutations, all the ways this could go wrong, and I stand by that. There's a trillion ways this could go wrong, and I expect it to go wrong. The question is, which one of them is the one that we get? But regardless, from a television production perspective, what do you think happens? And this is the question that I feel like someone in the room should have asked. Well, what if we do this? Desperate as it is, taking a big old swing as it is, and it doesn't spike a rating. What if after all that, and the buzz and the questions that are going to come out of this, it doesn't even spark enough curiosity to really spike the rating? Or even if it does, reality is there's been a history of this kind of hot-shotting, trying something to try to spike a big rating and try to get the controversy side of it. But it's been done before, and there's a lot of people, especially the people who are very critical of AEW. Ironically, it would be funny if somehow they had enough self-awareness to realize that they have a kind of experienced or participated in their own version of this. So in this case, I'm talking mainly about Eric Bischoff, who is obviously very critical. He's got his little feud going with Tony Khan. It'd be funny if he would see the parallels to when he had a hot angle. In this case, this isn't a hot angle, but it's still something that's buzzworthy, especially recently. The point is, he had a big angle, which was the Goldberg win streak. And their solution to using the Goldberg win streak was to have him face Hollywood Hogan, which was the big money match at the time in WCW. And they decided to do that at the Georgia Dome on a Monday Nitro. So upside downside on the whole thing, the quarter hour drew a 6.9 rating. Massive, huge rating, spiked a gigantic rating. You got huge attendance, so you got a great gate at the Georgia Dome. So for the night, it was a tremendous outcome, but long term, you used your biggest angle, you fired your biggest bullet, and used it on television and never got a chance to capitalize on it on pay-per-view. Now, I understand we're in the year 2024. Times have changed as far as the way that money is made in a lot of these companies. The television deals are really where the money is. The problem is that AEW hasn't announced that they have an extension on their television deal. Presumably that's been done, but we've thought that's been done for the longest time in the world. And unless Tony Khan has it in his back pocket and his follow-up announcement is we've got the extension, hey, then you can try whatever the hell you want, at least for a little while, because at least you've got the extension. But if you don't already have it signed, sealed, delivered, dotted I's, crossed T's, then this is about the dumbest thing you could have done, because almost no good will come from this, as I said a little bit ago, but almost everything else could go wrong. And the biggest thing, above the stupidity of it, the short-sightedness of it, the hot-shotting for the sake of hot-shotting side of it, is that you continue to acknowledge that even when he's gone, CM Punk is on your mind constantly. Because again, we assume the backstage footage is about this CM Punk situation with Jack Perry. So you've got Jack Perry who's out in Japan, and you haven't done anything with him or even discussed him in any way, shape, or form in a while. And then you've got CM Punk who's sitting in WWE doing their pre-show to WrestleMania, all smiles, all the only way this footage is of any use to you is if you are able to show somehow definitively in this footage that CM Punk literally committed an assault that you could have prosecuted him for and chose not to. And even then, for some people, they're just not going to care. There's some videos I have seen on it already in the short time, and I agree with some of the sentiment, which is the AEW diehards already hate CM Punk for the way he basically went out the door, all the problems he caused, and all the rest of it. The people who love him are going to love him anyway. It's not going to matter. And the people that are kind of in between are just kind of sick of dealing with him. And if you're AEW, you would have been better served to ignore him, ignore the interview, ignore everything related to it, and just work on putting together the best possible television package you can. Because, and here's my last point, this was completely unnecessary. It was just another overreaction kind of from Tony Khan and his camp, because the reality of it is, are AEW ratings down? Yes. Are they struggling at the gate in order to draw tickets? Yes. Part of that is because they're struggling to put on a consistent product. That's your real problem. It's not, we don't have CM Punk. I don't give a crap about CM Punk. WWE is selling their houses. They're doing their television numbers. CM Punk's around once in a while right now. He's injured. They're using him on the pre-show for a reason. He's not available. They're able to reference him. They're able to use him in promos and stuff, but nobody is buying a ticket to see CM Punk video packages or to hear him referenced vaguely, or maybe to see him walk out and do a quick interview right now. Right now, he's not actually drawing them anything as far as actual attendance or television. And by the way, for all the increases and everything that we talk about for WWE television, yes, it's increased. Part of it is because they have a big angle they're doing to the culmination of this WrestleMania. And then coming out of it, whatever happens out of it, that's going to help with the television. They're still down 75% from the absolute heyday. Streaming or not, that's still a decrease. The world has changed as far as the way television goes. So even though Monday Night Raw, which used to be the flagship, but now it's SmackDown, Monday Night Raw, the flagship, gets about 1 million more viewers than Dynamite. It's not like a 10x difference between the two companies. The last week, they did 750,000 on Dynamite. Not great, but guess what? They were hovering between 800,000, 900,000 for the last couple of years, basically, occasionally hitting 1 million. That's not a horrific decrease compared to the other one. All you'd have to do kind of to get it back and kind of to move yourself back towards 2021 numbers would be gain 300,000 or 400,000. And you could do that if you were producing a consistent television program, giving people a reason to tune in and slowly building. You're not going to be able to do it in 2 months. One single moment, one single promo, one single acquisition is not going to do it for you. It doesn't matter. I don't care who you bring in. You could literally swap rosters with WWE today. You could put Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns on the main event of Dynamite this week, and you would increase the ratings, yes, but guess what? You would probably get a lower rating than you would on SmackDown. Your question would be like, wait, how does that make any sense? Because there are some folks that are WWE stans who will not watch AEW. It doesn't matter who you put on it. Because at that point, their argument would be, oh, Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns, they both suck. You can put The Rock there too. Rock also sucks. It doesn't matter. The tribalism is real. There are some folks who will not tune in. It doesn't matter what you do. That's the reason why when WWE won the Monday Night War and became the only game in town in North America, the WCW people that were watching, the last diehards at the very end, when it was desperate and times were tough and you knew the company was dying, those folks didn't necessarily convert over to watch WWE. They just left and never watched again. They just went away and didn't care about wrestling anymore, at least not in that context. Well, what's funny about it is that AEW has the opportunity and has had the opportunity to tap into that audience that doesn't want to watch WWE. Because guess what? If AEW goes away, that audience that doesn't want to watch WWE isn't going to suddenly be interested in watching WWE. That's where the short-sightedness is. You're better off having both companies, but you need both companies to be focusing on what they're able to do and having some kind of a distinction between the two so that people have an alternative. Maybe you don't want to watch both. Maybe you do. But doing crap like this is not going to get you anywhere. And even if you think it's going to work for one night, I'd still love to be in that room and see exactly who pitched this idea and who thought it would actually help. And I would love to know the explanation of how you think it's going to help, where you think it's going to take you from here, because there is no match coming out of this. There is, unless we get the Tony Khan CM Punk match that obviously we need, you're not getting it. There's no result that you're going to get from this. And between the Adam Copeland rah-rah speech, which kind of fell flat last week, and then this, we should be getting as far away from this as is humanly possible and moving on to other things. Anyway, that's it. I ranted on long enough. AEW Dynamite next week. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to be very curious. But like I said, millions of permutations. And maybe there's one or two out there where if you can catch CM Punk doing a criminal activity where you pass on the footage to WWE and they have to fire his ass, that's about the only way you win. Other than that, you're not winning the public relations battle. I don't care what footage you have. So there's almost no way you win and a trillion ways you lose. And this is another really terrible idea. But for the night, I and other people will be watching. We'll have to see what comes out of it. And we'll see how that rating goes. Good luck to them. The desperate hotshotting worked out great for WCW. We'll see. All right, that's it for me. See you in the next one.